Hello everyone, I am the storyteller, and today I want to share with you a ghost story that I personally experienced. I never thought I would go through something like this, but life sometimes puts us in situations we could never anticipate. If you're sitting alone, prepare yourself and try not to get too scared. Let's step into this story together. That night it was raining heavily, pouring nonstop, and thunder rumbled continuously. I remember clearly it was a special night because my parents had gone to visit relatives far away and had to stay overnight, leaving me home alone. I'm not the type to be afraid of being home alone, but the heavy rain and thunder made me feel far from normal. Around 10 p.m., I was sitting in the living room, wrapped in a blanket, watching a movie on TV. The sound of rain drummed on the roof, and flashes of lightning lit up the window, creating a strange atmosphere. I was trying to lose myself in the movie, to forget the weather outside, when suddenly I heard a knock at the door. The knock wasn't loud, very gentle but steady, as if someone was standing outside waiting patiently. At first I didn't think much of it, assuming it was just the sound of tree branches hitting the window in the strong wind. But then the knock came again, this time clearer and closer. My heart started pounding faster and I decided to check what was happening. I got up from the couch, walked over to the door, and looked through the peephole. Outside, the rain was still pouring down like a waterfall, and I saw a faint shadow standing by the gate. It was a woman with long black hair draped over her shoulders, wearing a white dress that was soaked from the rain. Strangely, the woman wasn't looking directly at the door, but instead had her head bowed, as if shielding her face from the rain. A chilling feeling rose in me, but I reassured myself that it was probably just someone lost and in need of help. I gathered all my courage, cracked open the door, and called out, "Ma'am, do you need any help?" The woman didn't answer, only slightly raised her head, and when I saw her face, my heart nearly stopped. Her face was pale, her eyes empty, soulless, like a wax figure. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I quickly slammed the door shut and backed away. Fear took over me, and I had to tell myself that it could just be my imagination. I rushed up to my bedroom, locked the door tightly, and pulled the blanket over my head, trying to forget what had just happened. But then, just as I lay down in bed, the knocking came again. This time, it wasn't from the front door, but from my bedroom window. I froze, unable to believe my ears. My bedroom was on the second floor, and there was no way anyone could climb up, especially in this stormy weather. I slowly turned my head toward the window and almost screamed when I saw the woman's face pressed against the glass, her empty eyes staring straight at me. I don't remember exactly what I did afterward. I only know that I covered my head with the blanket and prayed until morning. I didn't dare move, didn't dare look back at the window, just hoped the night would end quickly. When daylight finally filled the room, I felt as if I had just escaped the worst nightmare of my life. My parents returned the next morning. I told them everything, but when they checked outside, there was no trace of the woman, no footprints, nothing. My parents thought I might have been too tired, and my imagination made me see things that weren't real. But from that day on, I never dared to stay home alone whenever it rained heavily. She's back, we both laughed. But deep inside, a chilling feeling crept into. I wanted to think that everything had ended there, but I was wrong. A few weeks later, on another rainy night, I wasn't home. I was at my best friend Emily's house. Emily was the person I was closest to, and she knew everything about what had happened to me before. To help me feel more at ease, Emily invited me over to her house, so I wouldn't have to face those scary rainy nights alone. That night, we sat in Emily's living room, eating popcorn and watching a comedy, to ignore the sound of the rain outside. But then, around midnight, the knocking started again. The same kind of knocking. Gentle, steady, as if someone was standing outside waiting. Emily looked at me, half joking. "Lan, don't tell him my mind." We stood up and went to the door. Emily cracked it open and looked outside. She was silent for a few seconds, then suddenly slammed the door shut, her face turning pale. "Emily, what's wrong?" I asked, my heart pounding. "There's a woman standing by the gate," Emily whispered. She looks exactly like what you described." This time, I knew it couldn't be my imagination. Emily had seen it too. We quickly locked the door, turned off the lights, and ran up to Emily's bedroom. We barricaded ourselves in the room, not daring to do anything but sit still and listen. The knocking started again, Not just from the front door, but this time from multiple places. The living room window, the kitchen window, and even Emily's bedroom window. The knocking came from all directions, as if multiple people were surrounding the house. I looked at Emily, and she looked back at me. Neither of us knew what to do. We decided to call the police, but there was no signal. Emily tried using the landline, but the line was dead too. There was nothing else we could do but sit and wait, our hearts pounding and praying until daylight. After about an hour, the knocking stopped. There was no more sound, only the rain falling outside. We were exhausted, our eyes burning from fear and lack of sleep. When the morning sun began to shine through the window, we dared to open the door and go downstairs to check. Everything seemed normal again. There was no sign of anyone outside, no trace of the horrifying night we had just endured. But on the living room window, there was a message written in something red like blood. We will meet again. Emily and I didn't know what to do. We decided to leave the house and stay with relatives for a few days. After that, Emily sold the house and moved away. As for me, I never dared to be alone again whenever it rained heavily. What do you think about my story? Could it be a wandering spirit or something worse? I don't know, but that experience left me with a fear that I will never forget. If you have a ghost story you'd like to share, leave a comment or email me. Let's explore the mysteries and fears we've never dared face together. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep following the next ghost stories. Sleep tight if you can.